Welcome back, Defenders. The destruction of Russian ammunition depots continues. Ukrainian drone strike reportedly hits the Bryansk ammo depot, which of course was storing North Korean weapons. According to Ukrainian officials, the attack targeted the 67th GRAU arsenal, located near the town of Karachev. This is about 114 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. And this ammo depot is just outside of Gimler's range. So if Ukraine had permission to use ATACMS or Storm Shadows deeper into Russia, they already could have destroyed this ammunition depot. But instead, Ukraine has to use their own domestically produced jet drones. And I can show you for fun where this is on Google satellite images. We can zoom in, and this is the town of Karachev. And this is the ammunition depot. Just look at the size of the depot in relation to the town. It's pretty crazy. We do have the videos, and you can hear the pop, pop, pop of secondary explosions. Ukraine definitely hit one of these buildings, and there were secondary detonations. However, this event isn't as spectacular as the last couple, and my theory why, Russia might actually be storing their ammunition inside the bunkers. That's the purpose of a bunker, but with the other 3 ammunition depots that Ukraine destroyed 2 weeks ago, a lot of that ammunition was just sitting out in the open, exposed to the air and sun. So if Russia actually put their ammunition inside the bunkers, there won't be as many secondary explosions, fewer of the bunkers will be destroyed. The Russians are pretty dumb, but they do eventually learn. Ukrainian army also destroyed 400 Iranian Shahed drones in Russia's Krasnodar region. The Ukrainian Defense Forces and the Security Service of Ukraine successfully struck a storage facility on the 9th of October. This is where this is located, and once again, within Storm Shadow and ATACMS range, but this time Ukraine used a domestically produced Neptune missile. This is about 160 kilometers from the front lines, and Russia couldn't intercept it. Russia failed to shoot down this missile, and it definitely hit its target. I'll link all these videos down below, as I always do. You can hear the secondary explosions. We know for sure Ukraine hit something big here. Next thing we should follow up on is this oil depot fire in Crimea. This is the port city of Feodosia. And initially, we didn't know how successful this would be, but it's becoming a pattern that when Ukraine can hit one of these storage canisters, Russia can't immediately put out the fire. It then eventually cooks the next one, it pops and blows up, then the next one, it pops and blows up. So this is what the oil depot fire looked like on day 3, and this is what the oil depot fire looks like on day 4. Russia doesn't have the resources or whatever to extinguish these fires when they go up now. We do have the satellite images. I can give you an update. This is the before, and that's the after. That's looking pretty nasty. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The smoke is covering, but I'm sure there's another 2. This one is damaged. This one's lightly smoking. Russia's got serious problems. We can zoom out, and once again, that's what the oil depot looks like on day 4 of the fire. Let's get to the political news. President Biden has postponed his trip to Ramstein in Germany due to hurricane threats here in the United States. There was supposed to be a planned presentation of Ukraine's victory plan to all the allies, but it's been disrupted because of the hurricane here in the United States. This is Hurricane Milton, and for my subscribers in Europe or Australia, you're not too familiar with this, but this is a seasonal thing here in the Gulf of Mexico, where frequently the Deep South or Florida is hit with a couple hurricanes almost every year. And I'm going to show you this because, once again, like environmental events, hurricanes are just unparalleled. And all these blue flashing lights, that's called a lightning wall. This is where lightning strikes are so common that as satellites are capturing the movement of this hurricane, it's just continuous blue sparks, because this, I guess, is where all the lightning in the hurricane occurs. Hurricanes are pretty bad. This is what Tropicana Field now looks like. The roof was ripped off, and 120-mile-per-hour winds, this is what they do. The hurricane did strengthen to Category 5, but by the time it hit close to Tampa, it was already down to a Hurricane 3. As it's moving across Florida, it is weakening, but hurricanes bring rainfall. And Florida is not very mountainous. You can't really get to high ground to be safe. Here, if you've never seen what one of these graphics looks like on the Weather Channel, it's pretty intimidating what a storm surge looks like in your local neighborhood.
3 feet above normally dry ground, water is already life-threatening. It's too late to evacuate. Water this high can knock you off your feet, make cars float, and driving impossible. The first floor of homes and businesses are flooded. Unfortunately, the water is expected to rise even higher at 6 feet above the height of most people. Vehicles get carried away, structures start to fail. Just look at this. Anything could be in this water, sharp glass, debris, chemicals as well. The scary part is some areas could see surge values at 10 to 15 feet. And this takes us up to 9. And look what it does. At this level, the first floors of structures are completely flooded, and there are few places that it is safe when the water rises this high. We want everyone.
So at this point, I think we're through the worst of the hurricane, but there's going to be a lot of damage. There's going to be a lot of Americans who need help and support from the state government of Florida as well as the federal government. And MAGA is not helping. I can't help but mention this. We have a tweet from Marjorie Trader Greene, the Kremlin's favorite representative in Congress, and she says, yes, they can control the weather. Who is they? I'm assuming she's referring to the Jews. Here is Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, talking about it. Anyone who says they don't, the federal government, the Democrats, or makes fun of this is lying to you. By the way, the people know it and hate all of you who try to cover it up. Climate change is the new COVID. Ask your government if the weather is manipulated or controlled. Did you ever give permission to do it? Or are you paying for it? Of course you are. So according to MAGA now, the government is deliberately creating hurricanes to do what? I don't understand. Since European settlers have arrived in the United States, hurricanes hit Florida almost every year. But because Donald Trump is running for president, apparently the Democrats now create them to kill people or destroy towns. I don't know, these people are insane, but I had to mention just how loony the people who support Russia actually are here in the United States, and they vote. There's a lot of them. But let's talk about the European Union, because that makes me feel better. Viktor Orban promised to block a $35 billion aid package to Ukraine, and his reason was, I want to wait until after the November election in the United States to unfreeze these funds. A member state of the European Union is saying, I can't make a decision, I don't want something to happen until I see the election results in a different country, on a different continent. That's insane, and of course, what he's waiting for is he's waiting for his buddy Donald Trump to return to the White House. If that happens, he wouldn't approve the funds, he wouldn't unfreeze it. He would only do that if Kamala Harris won and would be the next president for the next 4 years. But it looks like the EU found a way around it. EU envoys approve up to $35 billion for Ukraine, bypassing Hungary. The agreement helps bypass Hungary's refusal to extend the renewal period for holding on to Russian frozen assets. Hungary's Orban eviscerated in European Parliament debates, corrupt, useful idiot, scam artist, and autocrat. Those were some of the nicer terms that members of the EU Parliament used to describe Viktor Orban to his face. They were saying these things about him while he was sitting 10 feet away. So Viktor Orban just gave his speech, and then a different member of the EU Parliament came to the podium. There's a bunch of these clips. It was a huge pile-on. It was pretty fun to watch. I'm going to link these clips down below, but let me show you the first minute of this member. I don't know what country he's from, and I guess his name is Moritz Korner. Let me play this for you.
What a speech, Mr. Orban. What a speech. You say you want democracy, and you brag about your majorities in the Hungarian parliament. Yet since years, you only rule by emergency decree. Are you so afraid of democracy, Mr. Orban? You say you are for national sovereignty, yet you invite Chinese policemen to surveil the people in your country. You say you want to stop migration, yet you let Russian spies into our Schengen system and call it national card. That is what you're doing. Mr. Orban, you are not a patriot. You are just a useful idiot of Russia and China. That's the reality. You say you want to fight for more economic competitiveness, yet you keep introducing new company laws and taxes to drive European competitors out of your country. You turned Hungary into a banana republic. You robbed your population and enriched your family and friends.
I'll link the full clip down below. There's another 2 minutes. I want to share another one, this time from Daniel Freud, once again calling out Viktor Orban.
Dear colleagues, dictator, the European Parliament is the beating heart of European democracy. And this parliament is the arch enemy of autocrats like you. Mr. Orban, you're the most corrupt politician in the European Union. You and your cronies, you stole money on an insane scale. At least 14 billion euros that went to your country during your premiership have been lost. Who has ever stolen over 10,000 money transporters worth of EU funds? And the biggest trick you have played is that you distract people from your heist with hate against minorities, with propaganda about gender, with so-called peace initiatives. But this money was meant to fix roads, schools, and benefit the Hungarians. But instead, you build a football stadium in your backyard, you build palaces, and you have made your childhood friend Mecharos the richest man in Hungary. Mr. Orban, we want our money back. And to all of us, we have to stop this steal. No more EU funds for Hungary. Let's take his veto away and let's stop inviting him here to his parliament. Instead, there should be a European arrest warrant. Thank you.
Calling for Viktor Orban's arrest right in front of him. That's pretty bold. I respect that. But that's what this is about. That's what all of these autocrats want. It's about corruption and enriching themselves, enriching their friends, and holding on to power forever. Because if they ever left power, they might be held accountable for all the money they stole. That's what all these guys do. And they're working together. It's a global network that is formed to destroy Western values and democracy so that we don't have free and fair elections, and these guys can keep buying their super yachts and private jets and coastal villas, and they all act the same. Doesn't matter the language, doesn't matter the culture, doesn't matter the people. Once you consolidate power and you have complete control over the treasuries and tax revenue of your people, there's no checks and balances. They all do the exact same thing. It's almost like it's human nature. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Did anyone ever say that before? So let's get back to what is Russia's plan. And on Kremlin State TV, they don't even mask it anymore. They're proud of all of their crimes against humanity and war crimes. Russian State Duma Deputy General Gurylyov doesn't even hide it anymore. Let me read for you what his plan for Ukraine officially is. Of course, we will still be busy with Ukraine for a while, but it will be brought to its knees anyways. It's unavoidable. We've completed several of our tasks. First, there is no more production. only in western Ukraine. Secondly, it will be almost impossible to live there by this winter. Now, the Russians said this about last winter and the winter before. It was now 2 years ago that RT News promised me everyone in Europe would be eating their pet hamsters by now. Hasn't quite happened yet, has it, Russia? Thirdly, mobilization resources are being depleted, and even if they now lower the age to 21, they've calculated that they will recruit about 500,000 people at best. It's there during this time. We'll have to mess around for a year or over a year to destroy all this stuff. There will be nothing left afterward. Well, there won't be anything left. It'll just be an empty land that is practically uninhabited. Only old people will probably still be there, and not even all of them. They're just saying they're going to destroy every building and kill every person. This has been Russia's strategy for expanding their empire for hundreds of years. Kill everyone, depopulate, and once everyone's left, move in proper Russians loyal to the Tsar. Russia's not even hiding it. Most Ukrainians confident in victory with Western support, according to a latest survey. A new study reveals that over 80% of Ukrainians believe the country can win the war against Russia if the West continues to support them. I know there's this weird feeling in the air right now. I feel it. I'm sure you feel it. But it's going to improve. Donald Trump has to be defeated. We have to get past the November 5th election. We can then start budgeting and planning for the next year of this war. But at the moment, we can't do that. And at the moment, all these right-wing voices of hate and division, literally being funded by the Russians, is causing mass chaos and confusion here in the United States. This is affecting the entire NATO alliance. Russia and Donald Trump will be defeated. But I need you guys to stick with me. I need you guys to continue supporting Ukraine. I know Ukraine can do this. They will do this. Because the Russians just don't want it as bad. And I understand that polling data out of Russia is incredibly unreliable. If somebody calls a Russian on the phone asking questions, Russians are paranoid it's the FSB and they're going to be arrested and tortured. So it's dangerous to give an honest opinion of what you think in Russia. But what we can get still doesn't look good for the Russians. So here's the latest polling data inside of Russia that we can get. 47% of Russians believe the war in Ukraine is bad for Russia. Only 28% of Russians think continuing the war is beneficial for Russia. And these are dramatic shifts. So it's 47 right now, but the same survey conducted in May, 4 or 5 months ago, it was at 41%, so it's down 6. As far as Russians considering, is the war good for Russia? It's down to 38, or down from 38, so it dropped 10%. I don't speak Russian. I don't know any more of the specific details of this polling. I'll link it down below, but Russia's moving in the wrong direction. 2.5 years into Putin's 3-day special military operation. Russia's army recruits are increasingly older and less capable. The Russian military is seeing an influx of older contract soldiers who are largely seen as detrimental to its war effort in Ukraine. If you have hip problems, if you have back problems, if you have diabetes, if you have arthritis, you're not really an effective combat soldier. And a lot of these men are in their 50s, even 60s. Russia's willing to take anybody with a pulse. Volunteer fighters aged 45 and over now make up half of all new recruits in Moscow. This is according to the mayor's office. Yeah, it's getting bad for Russia. So let's check in with an average frontline Russian soldier. I see these videos every day, and this Russian soldier signed a contract, and he's upset that his government lied to him. Here's what he has to say. They lied to us about contracts, and now they accuse us of not wanting to fight. Yeah, I don't want to fight. I'm not ashamed to admit it. They lied to us, and see what happens. With the injury, they want to hide in papers these injuries and traumas after wounds and their consequences, to erase and delete them. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm trying to rationally think. That's his first mistake living in Russia. They lied about contracts, and the treatment is as if it wasn't them who lied to us, but we who lied to them. You have no idea how little respect they have. Although in our case, now it is not a peacetime, for us at least. When we came here, we thought it would only be for a single year. That's what he's saying. To give to the motherland and to the people. 1 year to endure, survive, and not die. But we still realized that we can die. Many did. And the treatment is as if it wasn't them who lied to us. And until the very end, till the 15th of May, 2024, I was not expecting it. Until the very last day, I wasn't expecting it. This automatic extension. I thought they were lying about the rumors of automatic extension. We weren't mobilized. We had jobs, but we went to the enlistment offices, signed a year-long contract. The contract is long over, but we're still not dismissed. So apparently, May of 2023, he signed a 1-year contract being promised really good pay, a nice sign-up bonus, a good monthly salary. All you have to do is fight for the motherland for 1 year. And then you can go back to your family, you can go back to your job, you can go back to your life. Of course, the government lied to all of them. They're not getting out. They're never getting out. These wars are never going to end. So this Russian man is furious that he did his 1 year and he didn't die, and the military's not dismissing him. They're not letting him go home to his family and his regular job. What do you think this guy is going to say, do, or feel in May of 2025? 2 years past when his contract was supposed to end. Russia bans Discord, disrupting its military communications in Ukraine. The decision draws criticism from Russian mil bloggers and highlights the Russian military's reliance on Western technology platforms. So if you've never used Discord, it's a messaging service that's very popular with streamers, people who want to stream video content. I'll link this video down below, but this is a video taken inside of a Russian command center. And you can see up on the big TV, that's Discord. The Russians have been using Discord to stream surveillance drones, to coordinate military actions. So Discord was being used heavily by the Russian military to communicate on the front lines. But it's also a platform in which people can share files or videos or information or private chats, and the Kremlin's not okay with that. So the Kremlin decided to block Discord, and this wreaked havoc on Russian military units who had become reliant on it for surveillance drone streaming. Pretty hilarious, but my immediate question is, how is this possible? How were the Russians using Discord? And I didn't even know about that. I feel like we could have applied pressure on the owners, the CEOs of Discord. The two founders of Discord are Stanislav Wisniewski, he's an American citizen, and Jason Citron. This is an American company. Did these guys know that the Russian military was using Discord to kill Ukrainian civilians, to coordinate these surveillance drones and FPV drones? I feel like if we had gone back in time and started some kind of effort on social media to apply pressure to these guys probably would have banned Discord themselves if they knew their platform was being used to commit war crimes. But the Kremlin did it to itself. the Kremlin just blocked Discord on their own, and now the Russian military is scrambling for alternatives that I guarantee are not going to be as effective as Discord. I'm laughing. Russian opposition activist slits her own wrists in a courtroom. A Russian opposition activist slit her wrists in an act of courtroom protest in the Siberian city of Krasnoyarsk. The activist Olga Surova cut her veins in protest in the courtroom and was taken to the hospital, so she's not dead. But this is the state of Russian justice right now, where if you're taken to a courtroom, you already know you're going to be found guilty. You already know you're going to prison. So this woman decided to, I guess, sneak into the courtroom a sharp object, and she attempted to kill herself in court to protest the tyranny of her own government. That's who the Russians are right now. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. France to deliver upgraded Mirage 2000 fighter jets to Ukraine in early 2025. Thank you so much to the people of France. Germany delivers 2 promised Iris-T anti-air defense systems to Ukraine. Thank you so much to the people of Germany. Lithuania has allocated an additional 13 million euros for Ukraine's recovery projects. Thank you so much to the people of Lithuania. The United Kingdom has granted Ukraine $3.5 billion in funds for the purchase of British-made weapons. Thank you so much to the people of the UK. Final clip I want to share with you is a canteen dugout. This is where Ukrainian defenders go for their meals every day. And this is just a video interviewing the chef in this dugout canteen.
Ми вас вітаємо.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава! Вітаю.
Як ваш настрій?
Добре, чудово.
Це ви хто, кухар?
Я кухар. Так, 120-ї бригади. Да, сам з Вінниці.
Як вас звати?
Валерій.
Валера. А оце можна це знімати? Так.
Розкажіть щось трошки про себе.
Ну, мобілізований, прийшов добровольцем в 22-му році. Задоволений. Все, порядок тут.
А що на
Валерій.
Валера, а що по меню зараз буде?
І по меню у нас ось розкладочка, дивіться. На обід у нас зараз буде солянка, на перше сало з цибулею та чесником, овочева нарізка. На друге плов з м'ясом свинини, хліб, чай, печиво, сік. Це на обід. На вечері в нас буде макарони відварні, підлива м'ясна з грибами, салат зелений з огірків та томатів, хліб, чай, масло.
Це там на кухні готують, а ви тут роздаєте, так?
Да, все, а як же ж. У нас все ось розкладочка на цілий тиждень, калорії, зважуємо порції. Все, солдати всі задоволені, весь особовий склад, все, кухня в нас чудова.
Looks like the defenders are eating well. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.